This episode of Says Who is brought to you by you through your support of our Patreon at patreon.com/sayswho, our Patreon, where pretty much every Sunday you get this all over again. You get me and Maureen doing a little thing we call the Town Watch, which is kind of like this, only looser somehow, and like usually about a half an hour long. Anyway, that is if you give it the $5 or $10 a month level. That $10 a month level also gets you a sticker in the mail every month because you become a member of the Says Who Sticker Club. It's a great club.
Are you okay?
Anyway, I'll talk about that in a second.
Oh.
That's all for you at patreon.com/sayswho. Before we get, I was getting ready to record, Maureen, when I realized I was very hungry. And so I ran upstairs and I ate a sandwich really fast. And then I got a LaCroix.
And you've been pounding it.
And now I'm a little bit, maybe I shouldn't have done either of those things.
Now you've made all the right choices.
Yeah.
You know why? Because today Death at Morning House is out. Out.
I couldn't make noise because I had my mouth full of LaCroix.
For reasons that we will get into, my tour dates are being rescheduled.
Yep.
The UK ones stand. They are not changing. We have one rescheduled date so far, which is Chicago on the 19th. But we're pretty sure we have Tempe, Arizona on the 16th of August.
Nice.
Boulder on the 17th.
Nice.
And Chicago on the 19th. And we're working on the others right now. But it's out. So like if you want to get it, and I just need to say this. Every single time you post about it, every single time you leave a review, all of it, every single time you do that, it's the biggest thing you could possibly do to help an author. And I just want to say thank you. Because truly that is genuinely what makes forget everything else that gets done. It's when you actually say to someone, hey, maybe try this book, or I'm going to just put a picture of it up or leave a review or whatever. That is truly the thing that makes all the difference. So thank you everyone that has done that.
Death at Morning House. I'm waiting for the delivery driver to deliver my copy.
Dan, I have like 500 copies.
I know, but I ordered it with money to get your stats where they need to be.
Thank you.
I ordered 10,000 copies.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So happy bestseller list for you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think celebrities do that sometimes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, they send people out to buy like
Republicans do that.
Oh, it's like all the books they sell, they go out and they just have somebody buy like 20,000 copies.
So I did it for you. I mortgaged my house. Yeah, it seemed worth it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, if you would like to just buy one copy from the internet, why not go on over to kickbezosintheballs.org, our own little bookshop, where you can very quickly order Death at Morning House by just clicking on the very attractive cover of the book.
It's good.
Yeah, that's at kickbezosintheballs.org. While you're on the internet buying things, you can always go to merch.sayswhopodcast.com, where we have a whole bunch of Says Who merchandise. You can also go to shop.dansinker.com, where I sell some patches. The internet, it's where you buy things.
Hey, Dan, I've been in this office for a couple of days now, so I decided to make one adjustment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got this new pipe organ. Yeah. It's celebratory. Mm-hmm. Boy, I hope he puts pipe organ music under this, or I'm going to see crazy. Yeah, it's celebratory time. Book out today. A lot of stuff going on today, Dan.
It's a big day.
It's a good thing nothing has disrupted anything.
Well, okay.
I
don't know what you mean.
Well, welcome.
Oh. Hello.
Come on.
You threw me off. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I know. I got you on the left foot. That's how I felt all week to Says Who, the podcast that isn't a podcast.
It's a coping strategy. I am Dan Sinker.
And I'm Maureen Johnson. And when we last left off, many of you already know this.
Yeah.
Last week when we recorded, I didn't sound so great.
You didn't sound hot.
I
I sounded a little sick.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, this sniffle is really something. And boy, I really am allergic to this disgusting New York City air.
Yeah.
Because I had tested the night before and I had tested that morning and I was negative.
Yeah.
And then I got sicker as that day went on. And then I got the chills and then I started to feel nauseous. And then I was like, this is not just, it was actually someone on Twitter because I was like, wow, this like, I feel strange. And that someone was like, yeah, that's COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I tested this morning and last night.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I'll just take another test. And it shot up red so fast. And it really threw me. It's hard to believe that's been a week because so I have COVID.
It not to interrupt the flow here, but it's hard to believe that it's been a week is sort of the song of the summer.
True. I've spent the week sleeping in my office. There's a bed in here. It's pretty comfy actually. And I rolled my little TV cart. Oh, I have a rolling file cabinet, so I rolled it next to the bed. I have a little TV. It's actually it's been like a sick slumber party. I've been burrowed into these blankets. I've had so much work to do, but Oscar is and I know if you don't rest when you have COVID, you are screwed.
Yeah.
So, and also you're sick. The next day I had I woke up with a high fever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get out of bed. So it was like I was off to the races again. As of right now, I'm testing negative. I got Paxlovid the very first day.
Yeah.
Last time I did this, the same thing happened, and then I rebounded.
Yeah, and you got real smacked in the face by that rebound.
The rebound really got me.
Yeah.
So we're sort of preparing for a rebound phase.
Right.
I haven't moved. I've tested negative yesterday and today.
Okay.
I'm still feeling, sometimes I feel fine.
Yeah.
And I have so much to do.
Yeah.
And then I go and I start doing it at the desk. And then I go to stand up and then everything kind of waves and moves. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to get back into bed and watch television.
Are you done with your packs?
Yes. I finished it not yesterday, the night before.
Okay.
So it was 5 days. You take 3 pills at a time. So you take 6 pills a day for 5 days.
Yeah. So you're sort of in that moment right now, like a Roadrunner cartoon. You are now up and off the cliff, continuing forward in the air, and you don't know whether you're going to shoot down or whether you will succeed.
Yeah. Last time when it came back, it really smacked me around a lot.
You got your ass kicked by that rebound. I remember that well, and I didn't live through it.
It was, you died?
I'm dead now.
Oh, no.
I've been a ghost since partway through that rebound, actually. I died. Yeah.
So, I've been trying to figure out how to reschedule while keeping a couple things in mind. One, giving myself enough time to recover.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, because we were like, the first thought is, can part of this tour be preserved? Could I travel?
Right.
And the first day I was in such shock. I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, no part of this first US part is probably going to happen. So we've started slotting in. So like I said, starting it on the 16th of August, it was pretty gutting because, you have to really get so much momentum out for the book.
Yeah.
And then it was like a pin in the balloon. It was like, nope. So, but that's how life is, Dad. It's like, well, you know what? It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. But
there was that first day that I was like, well, I had a good run. There's just this feeling of resignment,
Yeah.
But, so
It's also not for nothing. For those of you keeping score, yes, this is your second book tour post
the COVID period.
2020. And yes, this is the second time you've gotten COVID.
Yep. The first time on the tour, the second time before the tour. It's not lost on me, Dan. I don't find it funny. Although it is pretty funny.
It is something.
And I think it has something to do with just my levels of exposure to stuff.
Yeah.
The The first time, it was basically the first time I really went out and about that much.
Right.
And it got me. And then this time, it's because there's a massive, massive, massive surge.
Yeah.
There's COVID everywhere right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am certainly not alone. Like, people are dropping like flies with it.
Yeah, it is something right now. There's a lot of it.
I'm still helping with that domestic violence case. In fact, there's a court thing today, except
no fun.
The lawyer has COVID.
Oh.
So we had to get a postponement for today because the lawyer has COVID. He just got it 2 days ago. So it's sort of every time you turn around, someone else is popping it with COVID. But so far, Oscar's tests are negative. We were really careful. Again, I slept in here. We masked inside. Like we basically just stayed apart.
Yeah.
But since I've tested negative 2 days in a row, I've taken off the inside mask.
Okay.
But we're being careful. I'm probably not going to move back into the bedroom just yet. I think I want to give it.
I think with your history of the bounce, you should.
Because I'll be
feel like you're well clear of that.
Yeah, because I'm most contagious right before it happens. So,
right.
We
still don't understand anything about contagion and the bounce. Like it is maddening to me that we are this many years into this shit and we still don't really. There's no real guidance for anything.
Can we talk about this for a second, Dan? Because I am so angry about a bunch of this stuff because we have the opportunity to do something here.
Yeah.
And we have the opportunity to stop spread. We have the opportunity to put basic things in place.
Yeah.
To make things better. And, I masked on the plane, but I did take it off at times.
Right.
Because I ate or whatever. And then you start to feel like a crazy person for being the only one with a mask.
Right.
It's probably not where I got it.
Right.
We think the chances are I got it in a private setting.
Yeah.
But I started to feel like, well, this is a personal failing. And then you realize that, like, for example, the guidance right now is if you get it and test positive and you feel well for 24 hours, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you just go back in the world.
Yeah. There is no real guidance anymore.
So there's no guidance. Moreover, Nassau County here in New York, just yesterday, made it illegal to wear masks in public.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start with this shit.
Yeah.
This is so crazy.
Yeah.
This is so batshit nuts.
Correct.
What in the actual ever-living fuck is going on, Dan?
Yeah. Well, and because it's an election year, there's no way the folks in charge are going to up guidance or anything or remind anyone about any part of COVID because they don't want to, upset the apple cart.
I don't actually think I have the words.
Yeah.
For making masks illegal.
Yeah. Ostensibly those arguments have been the kind of movement toward making masks illegal has been around, kind of followed the student protests in Gaza, right? The idea is like, oh, we got to make this, illegal to wear masks at protests, which, A, no, but B, the actual policies that passed in Nassau, that it's anywhere, any public setting.
Yeah.
You can, in theory, have a medical reason, and then it's legal. But now we get to make cops the arbiter of whether or not you have a medical reason to be wearing a mask. So that's going to go well.
Obviously, you should break that rule, statute, whatever, and mask.
Yeah. It's wild.
We very rarely say break the law directly, but break that law, break that statute.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be the any other kind of, like every other goddamn law in this country where it will be used against people of color.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad, don't mask because freedom.
Yeah, you know how it goes.
That's freedom, Dad. That's freedom. That's what freedom is. Freedom is we're not going to let you mask to protect yourself from a global pandemic.
Yep.
Because we're trying to crack down on lawful protest.
Yeah, that's how it works. I feel like we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
No, Dan,
because it's your book release day. There's a little stack of books right next to Maureen. I can see them there. It's a very good looking cover, Maureen.
Dan, do you want to see my office right now?
Of course.
It was kind of, so the thing is, this office has had to be a bedroom, a sick room.
Yeah.
That as of last night, a place to record videos, a place to set up photos.
Yeah.
So right now I've had to rip this place apart.
Okay. Maureen is grabbing her camera. This often goes well. Okay.
So it's just like.
Well, it looks nice. I was expecting to see quite a bit more chaos than I'm seeing.
It feels really chaotic.
Oh, it doesn't look it. It looks really orderly and neat, actually.
There's just stuff all over the floor, like packaging and envelopes and boxes. And
I mean, sort of. She said all over the floor, but I just saw the floor, and it's mostly empty.
It just feels crazy in here, because usually this place is pretty...
It probably mostly feels crazy in there because you've lived in there for the last week.
I will say I haven't had any desire to go out from here. Like,
okay.
Even, it's just that COVID kind of like, while it has, it just kind of lowers your ambition into how much you want to move around.
Yeah.
You're like, this is fine.
Yeah.
And whenever, it's very tricksy. That's what I have to remember, is that because there's so much, like, I have to reschedule, I have to do this, I have to do these interviews, and I'm still have a book to turn in. So I'm trying to do all this stuff. And then I'm like, I can do it. I feel good.
Yeah.
And Oscar occasionally comes to the door and goes, seriously, like, you need to be careful. You need to take a break.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not doing anything too much. It's fine. And then I go to stand up, and then everything's kind of wobbles around.
Yeah.
So I have to remember to just kind of, it's going to be a weird period of like, just kind of, you just kind of have to dirtbag around in pajamas.
Right. Yeah. And then, I mean, once you have recovered, though, you are going to be moving into very strenuous.
Yeah, that's
period.
The trouble. We were going to try to do 4 appearances before me going to England. And then I was like, I think that's just one too many.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do 3. And then I'm going to come home and I'm going to rest for 2 days. And then I'll go out to England, and then I'll be on the move in England for a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that's about as much as my body will be able to handle.
Yeah.
Because I remember even last time, just afterwards, still being pretty fatigued.
Yeah.
And you've still never had it.
Still never had it.
That's so good for you.
Still never had it. We went to this memorial a couple of weekends back now, and I definitely was like, this is gonna potentially not go well, in terms of that. But no, seems all good in the hood, as they say.
That when the realization of having it again, I was like, wow, we've just set it up so that we get it again and again and again and again. The one who interviewed me last night has had it 4 times.
Yeesh. Yeah, I have never gotten it, and I feel fairly confident saying that, because every time that I feel slightly poorly, I will test until I don't feel poorly, and never once. Yeah,
I mean, I have a slightly touchier immune system, so it got me and not Oscar, luckily.
Yeah.
Even though we were in the same places.
Yeah.
So, it's. What can I say?
Yeah, this is the reality. This is the hand that we have been dealt by people that are in power.
But Dan?
Yes?
We are so used to bad choices being made.
Yeah.
Just terrible, terrible choices.
Yeah.
There is a piece of news today, Dan.
Yeah.
And that's the thing we got to talk about.
Yeah.
The VP pick is in, Dan.
The VP pick is in, Maureen, and here's the most remarkable thing. longtime listeners of this podcast, I think this might be the first time in the 8 years we've been doing this where a major news event broke before we recorded instead of immediately afterwards.
And wasn't totally awful.
Well, I mean, yes, and wasn't totally awful, but more so just that it happened ahead of this. Remarkable. I don't think that's ever happened.
Dan, it was the bad choices were sitting right there.
Yeah.
The terrible choices and the one really good choice was sitting right there.
Yeah.
And we said, surely they will never pick the good choice because that's not how things work.
Right.
And then
they chose Minnesota government Tim Walz.
That's right. The Minnesota government.
The government of Minnesota. The whole thing. Did I say government?
You did, yeah.
Okay, well, whatever.
The whole government of Minnesota is now the VP.
Governor Tim Walz selected to be Harris's running mate.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I mean, it's interesting. It seemed to come down to Walz, Pennsylvania Governor
Josh
Shapiro, and Arizona Senator and astronaut Tim Kelly. Is that his first name? Can't remember. Kelly. Anyway, Walz being the least known of the three up until about 2 weeks ago, when he became the most memed of the three. Like, it is when you really get down to it. Like, what's so interesting to me is that the team that is involved in the Harris campaign seems to really innately and understand online-ness, right?
Truly, Dan, I feel more and more like this whole campaign was inside a haunted mansion. Yeah. And down in the basement behind a locked door, they had this huge number of like really talented and smart people who had good ideas. And they were like, for the love of God, lock those people away. And then finally someone's like, what if, like, okay, let's let them out. And they all came out. And 24 hours later, they had turned that shit around.
Yeah. I mean, and it has to actually be that, because the campaign up until extremely recently has just been the Biden campaign. Like, the same people. Same people.
Yeah.
So there were a bunch of people that were like, hey, you know what? We kind of understand how the internet works. Maybe you could. And they were like, nah, don't worry. We got this. And then Kamala comes along and they're like, yes, embrace the fact that people like to make fun with your people. And lean into it, and they did, and then Walz comes along, and he becomes a meme almost instantly. I saw like footage of Shapiro kind of doing the VP like stand up act that everyone's been doing, trying to kind of get some coverage. I never once saw Mark Kelly.
Well, he's an astronaut.
He's an astronaut, but like I never once saw him on the internet, right? Like, but Walz was inescapable almost immediately because he's a good rural Midwestern dad, basically.
Who has also done things people like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and defended it sensibly, because when the Galaxy Brains on CNN said, you've done things like give free school lunches and things. Don't you think the Republicans are going to come after you for that? And like a person with a couple functioning brain cells, he's like, get fucked. I'm not going to apologize for giving food to kids, you fucking weirdos. Paraphrasing. But basically that's what he said.
Yeah.
I was like, fine.
He probably said get fudged.
But like, what is happening? Everybody was suddenly like, what if we did the thing that wasn't batshit insane?
Yeah.
What if, okay, here's a couple things. Dan.
Yeah.
Therapy breakthroughs all over the place. What if we just said these people are fucking weird because they're fucking weird?
Yeah.
What if we pick the candidate that actually does the good stuff that people like with the progressive policies that we should be doing and be unapologetic about it?
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
What if we did that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. It is weird to see Democrats making good choices repeatedly.
What if we roasted every fucking crazy ass thing Donald Trump says constantly?
Yeah.
What if we simply acknowledge the elephant in the fucking room? What if we say, okay, maybe JD Vance fucks sofas?
Still funny.
These fucking weirdos with their fucking terrible choices and their fucking Hannibal Lecter quotes.
Yeah.
What if we got up behind the policies that we should be getting behind? Like feeding people, providing tuition, basically doing the goddamn right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if? Dan, let's go back in time to us a month ago.
It is remarkable to remember that it has been 2 weeks.
Okay, what the fuck, Dan? Was it, July 4th? What the fuck were you doing July 4th? Do you even remember?
Yeah, I do, because it's my child's birthday.
Oh, well, of course, yeah. I'm trying to remember what I was doing July 4th because I've lost all sense of time. I had to throw my whole calendar out the window, Dan.
Yeah, I bet.
Like every single bit of the organization.
Yeah.
Out the window. Okay, let's even roll
there was
back.
Somebody standing at the base of your building one day and was like, "What?
The whole thing just fell apart. Like,
yeah.
Every single carefully balanced China cup, Dan just was like, what if we just let the dog in here?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go back to the 10th of July. I went to Pennsylvania. I was there for a couple days to finish this draft, drop off the dog. The 12th, I believe. No, the 13th was the day that Trump was shot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
That day, Dan, so we'd had all those like terrible decisions.
Yep.
The Supreme Court having Trump get shot.
That whole week had been rough as hell.
Bloody fist in the air. Yeah. So let's go through to the 19th of June. We're still in the Biden period.
Yep.
So at the 19th of June.
Yeah.
Which is, okay. July, I mean. 2.5 weeks ago, Dan.
Yeah.
2.5 weeks ago, how did we feel?
Not great. Biden had COVID. Let's remember that.
Oh, yeah.
You and Biden have the same strain, I bet.
Hey, that's right, baby.
Hey. Man, we have not heard from the shoe.
I've been more in mourning.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. I'm sorry.
It's been a rough time for me.
I bet.
Yeah. I'm looking at that Walz guy, though.
Oh, no.
I like the way he looks. I like his little ruddy cheeks. I like the way he held a piglet.
Oh, fuck.
He's into the bacon and stuff. I like it. I'm eyeing him up. I see a hottie. He knows some fudge and taffy on a loom in the summertime. You know what I'm saying? That man's been to a state fair.
He's definitely been to a state fair.
I like what I see. Mama like.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I got some feelings.
Oh, no.
My laces are in a twist. Come tie my shoe. Oops, is that my lace that got untied? Dan, 2.5 weeks ago, we were in a different reality. We were totally bummed out. And we're like, well, we guess Trump wins and everything's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it felt like.
We were like, oh, well, okay. Yeah. Guess this is happening.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And then?
Everything changed.
Then everything changed and changed and changed and changed.
Yeah.
Like a reverse of all of the events that had come before.
Yeah. It is such a like just toss the board game up in the air and all the pieces have reset. It is wild. Here's the thing, though, that I have to admit that the shoe reminded me of.
Yeah, what?
That is perhaps the most stunning thing about the Tim Walz pick.
Mm-hmm.
He and Kamala Harris are the same age.
They are?
Yes. She is 59. He is 60.
Huh.
I don't understand how to process that information in my head. He is a hard 60.
You know what? No, he's a fun grandpa state fair 60.
Right, but like
age is slippery, Dan. It doesn't.
I get it.
It just doesn't.
He does have a good answer. He was brought up at some point that he looks a little old, and he said, "Well, I spent 20 years as a lunchroom monitor. You're going to come out of that looking old."
That's a good answer.
It is a good answer.
This guy has good answers.
Yeah.
He likes education.
So I have a bunch of friends in Minnesota, many of whom fall on the far progressive to radical political line.
Okay.
And they all seem to love the dude. Like, They all love the dude. They all like the dude. They were all excited. Like, it is great to see. Also, not for nothing, that man makes a real good-looking hot dish.
Oh, yeah.
His hot dish recipe looks awesome. And also, I appreciate that the coverage that I saw in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune of it also talked about how controversial it was because it included peas.
I've never had hot dish. I don't really know.
Oh, hot dish is great. Hot dish is a native Minnesotan
I've
thing.
heard of it.
It is a casserole that can be made in many different ways. But the key element is tater tots.
Oh.
So it is a tater tot casserole. In fact, the Minnesotan congressional delegation has for years published a yearly hot dish cookbook, of which Ilhan Omar's hot dish options look incredible. Yeah. But yeah, he, I guess, has won. It's a contest, and he has won it multiple times. So I believe in him and a hot dish, and I do like the idea that there's going to be hot dish in the White House.
I cooked dinner last night.
Okay, how was it?
For the first time in a week, I got in the kitchen.
Yeah,
I was able to cook dinner,
and
I made a vegetarian beef and pepper mole.
Ooh, wow.
With jarred mole. So I cooked so I just cooked up. It was the end of the fridge stuff. So we had 2 hatch peppers. So I cut those up, some vegetarian steak chunks, put in the mole. But then I made a homemade, like a Spanish style rice, some cumin, a couple of the tomatoes that were left, some of the peppers, etc. So, and then we had 4 baby avocados that I could assemble once I cut them open and examine them into the contents of one functional small avocado.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, you're looking around like, okay, I got this. This is my favorite way to cook, Dan, is to be like, I have half a zucchini, a carrot, 1 pepper. What am I going to make with this? I got a farm box today. I'm excited. I'm feeling like myself again, Dan.
You sound like yourself.
Yeah, the energy levels. I want to be very careful, but they're definitely, the lights are coming back on.
Yeah.
There was one day I basically just slept the whole day.
I bet.
I think that was the 3rd day. The 2nd or 3rd day, I was just out like a light the whole day, more or less. So you forget. Good. You forget. And you guys, if you could all just kindly remind me every once in a while, and for all of you that could, this is me reminding you, it still makes you tired.
Yeah.
Even when you first start feeling better.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm on day 7.
Yeah.
I am not out of these woods.
No. Copious napping, Maureen Johnson.
Yeah. It takes, even after you feel fully better.
Yeah.
You still should do as little as possible for at least a week or 2.
Yeah.
And especially since I'm going to travel. Like, I'm basically under orders to try to stay in bed as much. But my husband has walked. Oscar's done all the dog walking, all the errands. I haven't been outside in a week at all. Full stop. I was out in the hallway once, but that's it. So, yeah, you really, really have to rest. I'm telling myself. I'm telling you. I was really upset, Dan. I really was.
I mean, that's completely understandable. It would be upsetting in any circumstance, but to have your second book tour scuttled by COVID.
I was more like, I called my mom when the test came in. I could hear it in my voice. I was just so resigned.
Yeah.
I was like, I have COVID.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you just sounded like you would just acknowledge. You're just like, yep. Okay. I felt the first day that, like, when it first happened, I'm like, well, I guess my book's dead now. Like, I guess I might as well just, like, I might, like, all this work. That's not how that works, by the way. Like, that's not how any of this works.
Yeah. But still.
You just feel like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I just let everybody down. I let myself down. I have all this stuff to do. Oh, I'm such a failure. Like, I really have heaped criticism on myself in large, whopping doses this week. And I am finally just realizing that.
Yeah. Well, it's good to realize that. And you don't need to. But it's also understandable that a person gets down on themselves when they're trapped in their office.
I have to say, I've been very happy in here. It's a happy room.
I like how you can be like, I've really beat myself up. And then you're like, well, actually, I've really been very happy here.
I'm actually a pretty upbeat person, though, Dan. That's the thing. Is like, I'm pretty upbeat. Like, even, I watched some shows, like, all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were 6 episodes and I watched them all. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, I watched Good Girls Guide to Murder, which I enjoyed heartily.
Yeah.
That's a book that's often compared to Truly Devious. Like, they have very similar girl detective vibes, even though the plots are different.
Yeah.
So, and it's a great, I like Holly Jackson a lot. It's a good show. So yeah, like, right now I'm watching an Icelandic murder mystery.
Okay.
And I've been and it features a cult and I was like, I want to join an Icelandic cult. That looks fun. Like, just wearing a tunic out in the wilds of Iceland, and they go in a cave and they meditate and then they, like, grow vegetables together. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. Let's go, Iceland.
I would like to go to Iceland.
I've always wanted to go. I think everybody does want to go to Iceland at least once. And yeah, I've thought about doing the stopover. On the way you can do Iceland Air will let you stop over in Reykjavik.
So, that would be fun.
Yeah. I'm going to do a lot of fun stuff in England, though, Dan.
What's that?
I'm going to have a lot of fun stuff in England.
Yeah, well, funny you mention that, because currently not fun stuff happening in England.
Let's talk about it.
Fucking racists are rioting.
They are.
All over the goddamn country.
Yeah.
Burning fucking hotels and I mean, it is fucking nuts right there.
There is a big... So when I was talking about the night of the UK election, and I was like, I feel positive and negative.
Yeah. Because
the Conservative vote was split by something called the Reform Party.
Yeah.
Which is a new party. They can form parties all the time. And it's basically the brown shirts.
Yeah.
And the thing that was a bummer was, like, okay, Labour won, but also the Tories were split with this Reform UK. And that's why they lost all these seats, because their vote was split. So Reform got a huge amount of votes, like way more than anybody should be comfortable with.
Yeah.
There is a real spicy racist, and not for nothing, things like J.K. Rowling, making all these remarks about, like, she's been really, really horrible on transphobia for a while. She's been promoting right-wing conspiracies for a long time.
Yeah.
People have gone a little bit into some sort of twilight zone there. Like, they've gotten suckered into a bunch of super right-wing stuff. Even the people you think wouldn't are.
Yeah.
So that this is happening is horrific and not that shocking.
Yeah. Yeah. But to me, it feels very much, Labour won by a lot, right? Landslide election. And now, based on nothing but lies, you have right-wing riots happening across the country. Those things are connected in my head. You know?
Yes.
That the point is to make things awful so that you can then say,
look how awful everything is.
Look how awful everything is. The minute these people got in charge, everything went to hell, right? And I as hopeful as I feel right now for our elections, I think the same thing will happen here. Some bullshit reason, and suddenly the right's rioting all over.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it feels bad, but I do want to just say to our UK listeners, of whom there are many, like, we are thinking about you. Be safe. Stand up to these motherfuckers.
Fuck these fascists.
Yeah. Protect the people that need protecting.
Oh yes.
And yeah. And I hope those fuckers get fucked soon.
These are the fascists everybody has been warning you about. Like, they are, they are not imaginary.
Meanwhile, Maureen, our own homegrown fascist is having a little bit of a hard time right now.
He's having a rough time. Dan, as we sit right now, he loses.
Oh, yeah. I think that, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But yeah, I think he is not doing well in the election right now. If it were to happen, well, I think if it were to happen today, that might be an issue. But if it happens in November, I think that at least as of right now, it feels pretty good. And part of that is because, as we discussed a little bit last week, he has had an extremely hard time breaking through the into traditional media ever since Biden dropped out, which is unheard of for this man. This man sneezes or farts and he's on the front page for forever. So he did manage to make it through a little bit last week. He had a surprise last minute appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists conference here in Chicago.
Dan, I watched half of this while I had COVID just because I was just sitting in front of my computer and I was out of it.
Yeah.
So they're like, watch live. And because I apparently was in a fog, and I was like, okay. Like, I would do anything the computer told me to do. So I was like, okay, if you want me to. It was fucking surreal.
Yes.
It was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
It was truly bizarre. I know. So A, NABJ was in Chicago this year. B, I know a lot of folks that are NABJ members, right? Like, and everyone was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, it came out of nowhere.
Like, why the fuck is this guy here?
Yeah. And people were pissed. Like, I know a bunch of journalists that were like legit straight pissed about it.
And decided like not to go because they're like, fuck this.
But it went about as well for him as you would imagine it was going to go for him, right? Like, I don't think that anyone booked this with any illusion that it would go better. Like, I mean, the man hates black people. The man hates women. Mm-hmm. He was being interviewed by black women. He hates journalists. He specifically hates black women journalists. That's well documented at this point. So I like, my theory is that it was booked because they knew it would at least put him back on the front page, and it did, for a day. Didn't last though. But yeah, that shit was fucking bananas.
The first question he was asked, they were like, look, here are all the things you said. Like, let's talk about it. And the first words out of his mouth were like, your question was horrible. You're, horrible for asking it. I've never been asked such a horrible question. You're just unprofessional. So the first words out of his mouth were to criticize and belittle the journalist asking him the question.
Yeah.
That was question one.
Yeah, and it didn't get better.
No, it doesn't get better.
And in fact, it seems like it kind of ended abruptly.
Apparently, they were in the middle of it. They had hit a certain point, and it was supposed to go on, and then the moderator just says, "Okay, as per the Trump team, we're done."
Yeah.
So basically, someone was like, got the big hook and grabbed him and pulled him off stage because he was saying such batshit insane things.
Yeah.
I mean,
one point he said he is the president that has done the most for black people after Lincoln.
Okay.
I mean, not really.
There was a lot of the horrible black jobs thing again,
Yeah.
and the just oh crap.
So he did manage to break through and get some headlines, as a big believer that almost all of his instincts come from professional wrestling. He is completely fine with heel heat. So, he got heel heat headlines, but he got them.
However, I will say I watched the part where they ask about JD Vance.
Yeah.
And they're like, so, they asking questions about, did he regret him as a pick or whatever? And he basically said, well, no one really cares who the VP is.
Yeah.
And like, they're just like, they only care who the president is. And I guess he's, like, they're like, but he said this and that. Do you think that? And he's like, well, I don't know what he said, but no one cares. He is so much it was clear he is so mad about this JD Vance thing.
He's over JD for sure.
Like JD Vance, he immediately got himself saddled with the couch fucker.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
It's just couch fucker forever.
Yeah.
There's no way out. You're immediately the couch fucker.
Oh yeah.
It's literally the old adage about say your opponent fucks pigs. They don't, but make them say the words and deny it.
Yeah.
Except no one expected the couch fucker.
No. Yeah, the couch fucker is truly
like one of the first pictures of Tim Walz I saw today was him just a collection of him just sitting on sofas, and he goes, "This VP knows how to use couches correctly," and I'm like, "That's it. This is where we're at. We're just still at couch fucking. It's gonna be funny forever."
Oh yeah,
it's funny forever.
Yeah. Meanwhile, coming out of NABJ, Trump went down to Georgia, where he pulled a smaller crowd than Kamala Harris had in the same place.
Was he looking for a soul to steal?
He was. Probably found it.
Was he way behind? And then he was willing to make a deal?
Yes. All those things.
If only I could remember all the lyrics to The Devil Went Down to Georgia. Devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was way behind something like that. He's looking for, okay.
Yeah.
Looking to make a deal.
Oh, no. Now I see you're hunching over toward your keyboard now. Anyway, instead of doing the thing that probably you should do at a rally in Georgia, when you're not exactly getting the headlines you want, which is, get onto the script again, maybe. Instead, he spent most of it bagging on Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, who, as many people have pointed out, his team is relying on Kemp's ground game for the get out the vote, because the Trump team still does not actually have a get out the vote like group. They're relying on folks in states. So they are literally reliant on this man, and he's spending most of his speech bagging on him. So that's great. And then somehow this man yesterday did a 90-minute live stream with a right-wing streamer named Aiden Ross, where he was, and I know this is a bit of a shock, but he was just deeply, deeply weird for the whole time.
What did he do?
Well, so this Ross dude who's young. So the whole idea was like, well, we're going to get in with the Gen Z, right? By doing an interview with this young guy. He has platformed white supremacists. He's platformed Andrew Tate. So he's this kind of a dude, right? They do a bunch of stuff. He shows him photos of people and has him do quick reactions, one of which is Kanye West, and he's like, oh, good guy, I love that guy. The streamer gives him a gold Rolex at one point, and then is like, oh, I've got something else for you. And they go outside, and he gives him a Cybertruck with a wrap that is Donald Trump holding his fist up after being shot. So he gives him a Cybertruck with a picture of himself on the side.
It's honestly, in terms of gift giving, he does know how to read a room.
Definitely. I read a good article about how likely they will have to give all of those things back
Mhm.
because they will be illegal campaign contributions
Sure.
otherwise. But they then get into the Cybertruck. They start playing music, including things like the Mamas and the Papas California Dreamin'. When they first were like California Dreamin', I was like, oh, it's going to be the like Dr. Dre Tupac song. No, it's not. That's California Love. But they, and then like Elvis, like a lot of weird old man music. And then they're like, oh, we got one more. And they put on YMCA and they get out of the car and then they stand there doing a whole dance. Trump does this little arm pumping dance thing that he's doing lately. And that's how the stream ends. It's super weird. Like, it's super weird. It's one of those things where it's like if they had any media savvy on their team whatsoever, they would be like, people keep talking about how weird you are. So maybe let's not do this one.
Let's just dial this down a little.
It seems kind of weird already. And we're pretty sure it's going to come off weird. And instead they were like, let's do that. Please dance the YMCA outside a Cybertruck with your face on it.
That's how I wanted to celebrate the release of this book.
Yeah. Dancing in front of a Cybertruck with your face on it.
I was going to get a Cybertruck wrap.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Yeah. That is absolutely, I've been looking for the wrapped Cybertruck of it all. Where is my wrapped Cybertruck? I said. Dan, okay. Summer's been weird. I'm already like, hey, I'm a big summer person. I get a little like, oh, fall. Maybe it's already time to like, it's going to be a good fall. Let's embrace these fall vibes.
Yeah.
We still need to talk about whether or not we're going to Disney.
I think we are. We just need to lock that shit in.
Okay.
Well, you're the one that said it's happening. If you say it's happening, put it in the bank.
All right.
Yeah.
Is it happening?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen.
Okay. Now, you see, Dan, I'm the one that's saying it's happening. And then I ask you, is it going to happen? I'm saying it's happening. And you're saying?
I'm saying it's happening.
All right.
Yeah. We just got to lock in the details.
Lock it in. Nothing can go wrong now.
Not at all. Well, Maureen, I think maybe we wrap it up by just giving a quick look at the state of play in the election. This is all pre-Walz.
My tooth is still broken. I couldn't go to the dentist because I had COVID.
You might want to get that looked at before you embark on.
It's definitely crown.
Okay.
So it's just a crown fix. But it is sharp. It keeps cutting my mouth.
So it has been 2 weeks, Maureen, since Harris entered the race and Biden left. National polls now all pretty much agree Harris is ahead. Not by much, less than 2%. The thing I've seen is kind of on average is about 1.8%, but far better than Biden, who is behind by 3-4 points. So that's good. But again, that's national polls, which don't really mean a lot because really this is all going to come down to a handful of states. And the swing state polls are slow to come, but some of them are coming in now. It seems that Michigan has moved safely back into Harris territory, where it had swung completely toward Trump. Wisconsin looks good again. I would imagine that Walz will lock in the upper Midwest.
It sounds it.
I mean, that man he's from Nebraska originally, so you got that going for you. That probably means because Nebraska splits their electoral votes, so probably helps on that one that is often crucial. It's going to help Wisconsin for sure, because Minnesota and Wisconsin are basically the same place. Michigan, you got to cross the lake, but it's also pretty similar. So I'm imagining Walz is helping that. Philadelphia has moved back to a tie, which is good. The Sun Belt seems to be moving back into play again after seeming like Nevada and Arizona and stuff like that had drifted away from Biden. So it's still very early in all of this stuff. It has only been 2 weeks, but it seems that everything's trending toward Harris. This VP pick was the one potential landmine that could have kind of blown up some of that momentum and support, but Walz seems like a pick that everyone's happy with. They're moving right into the DNC. provided that like the whole economy doesn't melt down, which suddenly seems like isn't in zero, or we go into World War III, which also doesn't seem like it's totally a 0% chance. Seems like these numbers should only get better.
Dan, can I just say a big shout out to Tim Walz right now?
Okay.
The trending topic is Tampon Tim.
Oh, okay.
Because he insisted on stocking all like school bathrooms, like having tampons and menstrual pads on demand in all gendered bathrooms.
Way to go.
And they're acting like calling someone Tampon Tim is a bad thing for providing menstrual products.
Yeah.
This is how much they don't get people.
The issue with hating women is you don't really understand what is going to rally women.
Or the idea that if they're also in the boys' bathroom, it's because transgender kids are in there and they need them.
Yeah.
And he actually gets that and did the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
This fucking guy's doing... Dan, I'm falling in love.
Yeah, he seems like a legitimately good dude with his heart in the right place.
Yep. Actual feeding kids, giving them sanitary products, caring about education.
Yeah.
Tuition credits. Tell me everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing that is worth noting about the many kind of progressive legislative victories that he's had in Minnesota is that I believe the Democrats have a 1-seat majority in Minnesota. So it's not like they were able to just do this easy. You know, like they were able to do all of this with the slimmest of margins. So good job. Good job. But Maureen Johnson, we've reached the end of this podcast. Says Who is made possible by you through your support of our Patreon at patreon.com/sayswho. That's our Patreon, where pretty much every Sunday you get this all over again. Me and Maureen doing the Town Watch if you give it the $5 or $10 a month level. And that $10 level also gets you stickers in the mail because you become a member of the Says Who Sticker Club. It's all there for you at patreon.com/sayswho. Our theme music was performed by Ted Leo, who is out on the road right now. You should go see him perform. Our logo was designed by Darth. You can contact us at Says Who Podcast on Threads, at Says Who at omfg.town on Mastodon. You can email at that is HEY at sayswhopodcast.com. You can join the discussion on Facebook at /group/sayswhovians. Our Facebook group is moderated by Janice Dillard. Thank you, Janice Dillard. If you want to join the fan-run Discord server, you can go to tinyurl.com/sayswhodiscord. Whatever you do, spread the word, subscribe, leave stars and reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you listen. And you can join us. Is it going to be next week, Maureen? Are we able to record next week now?
I'm looking. Yep.
Yeah, you can join us next week, the 14th of August, for our very next episode.
Possibly also the week after that.
That feels harder. I don't know that I can record that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I sent you an email about all of this earlier.
Look, man, I don't know what's going on today.
Yeah, it's all right. Anyway,
this is what you want to see what today's like?
For sure. Okay. You can join us next Wednesday, the 14th of August, and then things get a little iffy. It's all right. Nothing ever happens when we don't record. Next week, you'll see us for our very next episode from my basement in Chicago. I am Dan Sinker.
And from Ralston Island, where Morning House is located.
Whoa.
A thing that you can read right now if you feel like it.
It's there. It's available.
Including your public library, possibly. That the library copies may have arrived, so don't feel like you gotta spend money.
Nope.
I guess I'm Maureen Johnson.
That's true, you are. And this has been Says Who. Kind of sound like a turkey.